What's up, guys? Hey, let's talk about the Caesar method for one quick second and the ask step. And it's imperative that you don't skip steps, especially early in the conversation. You do an excellent job when it comes to connecting on the call. That's where we build the bridge, right? This is where you're referencing either a past webinar, something they downloaded, relevant news headlines, a personal connection. You're leveraging the current AAO trade show or conference, right? I get it. And you're already demonstrating some good instincts there. But the next part is where most people fall off. You have to ask, not pitch, not explain, just ask. This is the part that creates tension and gives you permission to educate. It services real pain. And it also builds trust when it's done correctly. Now, there's three types of questions you can ask. You can ask open-ended questions. You can ask probing questions. And what I recommend and the types of calls you do are called harvesting questions. So a harvesting question is a question that you use that skips past the open-ended and probing questions. And the harvesting question works great in this type of call that you're doing. Because there's not a deep relationship yet. It services the conflict in the call in a way that's natural and professional. Here's an example of what a harvesting question might sound like for you. So you finished connecting and you ask, how are you currently handling your front office desk overload or administrative tasks, especially with the growing pressure of HIPAA and avoiding burnout in your current staff? That is a mouthful, but you might shorten it and ask the question, how are you currently handling front desk overload and maintaining HIPAA compliance? Or you might say, how do you maintain HIPAA? How is your current organization maintaining the front desk and administrative overload that you currently have? I don't care how you ask the harvesting question. There's a lot of different ways you can ask that same question. The question invites them to share what's really not working. You might ask the question, have you ever used outsourcing before for your front office staff? That question invites them to share what's already not working. It sounds, without sounding like you're trying to put together a sales pitch for them. And it sets the stage perfectly for the education step. So how are you going to reword that harvesting question in your own voice while keeping the core tension present in your sales conversation? I want you to send it to me. I want to review it and see what the ask step's going to sound like for you. All right, here's some other feedback and observations that I'm getting back. And I understand that you didn't ask the harvesting question. The prospect might share something really important on a call, like they're not a clinician and they have access to over 400 clinicians. That's what I call, from my perspective, a clue. Okay. At that moment, the conversation shifted, and it shifted in a big way. Rather than that conversation continuing to pitch, you want to position Snapscale as a partner. So Snapscale, we're no longer, when that person says they have access to over 400 different clinicians in their database and that they're not a clinician themselves, you're no longer pitching the service, you're identifying a potential partner at that point. And once the person reveals that they have influence over a large network, your mental positioning should shift from potential client to potential channel partner. That means your goal changes in that phone call. You're not offering a VA solution directly. You're offering a way to increase that person's current authority, their visibility, and their value. So we're trying to build now at this point with them authority, visibility, and value with the clinicians in their current network. I call it the GIVE framework. I help them grow. I help them increase their influence. I help them increase their current value to their network. And I'm going to equip them with tools and resources. So this is where Snapscale becomes a brand that can elevate their current brand through joint content, co-branded resources, even joint webinars to their database. Here's my recommended pivot that you do in the call. Wow, that's incredible. You've built a network of over 400 clinicians. That's a major asset. Are those mostly type of industry, orthodontists or mixed specialties? What kind of content do you usually share with them? Have you ever co-branded something or offered them more value with like a co-branded piece? Snapscale has partnered with others just like you to deliver value to their networks, whether it's a co-branded resource or our HIPAA-compliant Google Reviews playbook or hosting joint webinars to boost their brand. We've seen that someone like you that aligns with a respected healthcare brand like Snapscale, it adds trust and credibility to your personal brand. And I'd recommend connecting with our head of partnerships, our vice president of sales and marketing, to explore what that might look like. I can get you on his calendar. I have Thursday, or does Friday work better for you? Even though you didn't ask the harvesting question in this particular call, if they bring that up, you have to go a layer below so you can get to their pain. When they give you a clue, like a large list, a partnership network, or influence, you need to ask 2 deeper follow-up questions, 2 to 3. All right? What kind of people are in that list? How do you build that? And what kind of content or tools are you currently looking to share with them? That's how you shift from rep, sales rep, to strategic partner, and that's also a win. So keep that in mind. I want to continue on this conversation of ask now, and I want to get into specifically the sales presentation. Okay, so we talked about the pivot. Now let's talk about there's a moment where you miss a powerful opportunity to ask the question before transferring into your presentation, because I know, because you're doing it. Okay, so this step, the ask step in the Caesar method, just to be clear, for the Caesar method, it's not optional, it's essential. And it's what earns permission, trust, and authority before you move into the education step. It's really going to help you, okay? If you ask the harvesting question, it'll put them on the train tracks so that you can have the educational conversation. If you skip the ask and jump straight into explaining what we do, the call stops feeling like a conversation. And it starts feeling like a sales pitch to the prospect. It triggers red flag warning. Here comes another telemarketer who's just trying to push a product or service. But when you pause and you ask a smart, targeted question, you shift the dynamic. You move from pushing in that call to pulling the person in psychologically to your point of view, to your perspective. You position yourself as someone who's there to understand and support, not to sell at all costs. Remember, every prospect is silently asking themselves, what's in this phone call for me? If you haven't asked the question to uncover the answer, then you're presenting blind. If you haven't asked the question to uncover the answer, then you're presenting blind. Okay? When they're asking what's in it for me, you got to remember, it's not about you. It's about the prospect and what the prospect wants. If we can get past the fact it's not about what I'm trying to offer, it's not about me. It's about meeting the prospect where they're at and significantly caring about them and their business. Right before you jump into the presentation, you just stop and simply ask the harvesting question, guys. You need to bring the conflict up. It's not about holding them on the call longer. If you need help with dealing with a brush off after you ask the question, I will absolutely help you with that. But it's not about dealing with the brush offs right now. You're not even asking the question. The one question that you do ask, it will create space for the prospect to talk about their real world. It reveals their obstacle and their goal that you need to speak to. And it's going to allow you to tailor your education to exactly what they care about. Remember when I said it's not about you, it's about the prospect? Well, this is what I mean, is that you can't even offer education that's tailored to them, to what they specifically need, if they give you no feedback in the conversation before a presentation. Ramrodding a product or service down somebody's throat is what high pressure, crooked salespeople do, and they manipulate to try to get the outcome they're looking for. That's not what we're looking to do. Don't rush into the education step. Slow down and ask. Uncover their hidden resistance, personalize your pitch, and build a real connection. It might feel like something small. I know this is one moment to ask, but this is what separates high trust from low trust. This is what separates the leader from the high pressure salesperson. Let's keep practicing this, and next time I'd love to hear you open the door before you go into what we do. You'll see your calls start converting more consistently when you do the ask step properly. So I'm going to ask you, do we need to do a quick role play so you can test out your ask step? Just let me know. Send your ask step back to me so I know what question you're going to be asking on every single call.